Hello again, everybody. Harry Carey at Wrigley Field. Another great crowd on hand. You know, the Cubs have drawn 30,000 or more in the last 23 home games. And in 34 out of the last 35 games, they've drawn better than 30,000. You know, yesterday, 16-13 score was just another to add to the list of Phillies Cubs scoring marathon. Phillies defeated the Cubs 18-16 on April the 17th, 1976. That's the day Mike Schmidt hit 4 home runs in one game here at Wrigley. Then the Phils topped the Cubs 23-22, May 17th, 1979, in an extra inning game. And the Cubs beat the Phillies 26-23 back in 1922 in Philadelphia. So there's nothing strange about these high-score games between these two teams. The Cubs lost a half a game of their lead to Montreal. They lost a game and a half of their lead to the Mets. But they gained a half a game on the St. Louis Cardinals. So now the Cubs are 2.5 ahead of Montreal, 3.5 ahead of New York, and 5.5 ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals. Well, a beautiful, beautiful day for baseball. And the Cubs are hopeful of evening up this series. They have Greg Maddux going. And here's Wayne Metzmer with our national anthem.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for ample waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. America. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of
When you were a kid, you wanted your bike to sound like a car. Nowadays, you'd like your car to be as quiet as that old bike. So use a gasoline that can do a better job quieting knocks. One that's 2 octane higher than regular unleaded. Unical's 89 octane.
Hey, Jimmy.
Hi, Murph.
That's the great game last night.
Gee, thanks.
Get Cubs collector's pins, just 76 cents with purchase. At 76.
Hello again, everybody. This is Harry Carey with Steve Stone and Dwayne Statz at Wrigley Field. The second game of the series. The ceremony of first pitch today was thrown out by Howard Eisenberg, Senior Vice President of David Berg Hot Dogs. I could use one. Also throwing out a first pitch, Veronica Chavez, a hire the future student from Benito Juarez High School in Chicago. She was escorted by Ronald E. Spears, president of MCI Midwest. And during our national anthem, you may have noticed a big group of Medal of Honor winners. There's some of them right there. A great group, all holders of the Congressional Medal of Honor. All right, here are the lineups now. For the Phillies, Lenny Dykstra leading off. Steve Jeltz playing second. Von Hayes in right. John Kruk in left. Ricky Jordan at first. Charlie Hayes at third. Darren Dalton, the catcher. Dickie Thon, the shortstop. And Don Carmen, the left-hander, is the pitcher. He has won 3 and lost 11. He's always been very good against the Cubs, whom he's beaten 5 times during his career, losing to them only once. For the Cubs, Walton trying to make it 22 games in a row on his hitting streak, leads off. Sandberg at second, Grace at first. Dawson back in the lineup in right. McClendon in left. Berryhill catching. Ramos playing third. Dunston the shortstop. And Greg Maddux, who has won 13 and lost 8, will be the pitcher. The umpires are Greg Bonnet behind the plate. Doug Harvey at first. Mark Hirschbeck at second. And Bob Davidson at third. And we're going to have another capacity crowd. The Cubs didn't fare badly for having lost that game. They lost a game and a half to the Mets, but they gained a half a game on the Cardinals while losing also a half a game to Montreal in second place. Cubs leading them by 2.5.
Greg Maddux on the mound for his 25th start of the year. He's 3-3 lifetime against Philadelphia. High ERA of 5.53 as you look at the standings.
The first pitch to Lenny Dykstra. High and outside.
Maddux faced Philadelphia in Philadelphia on August the 3rd. He beat him that day 2-0, going 6 1/3 innings, giving up just 4 hits.
Now the delivery. Strike call, Benet. A very deliberate caller on strikes. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lenny Dykstra hitting .266. Had only 1 out of 5 yesterday. There's a strike called. Curve over the inside corner. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Dykstra.
Earlier this year, Dykstra had a 14-game hitting streak. He's a contact hitter. You can get him out away and off the plate.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Foul back. You know, I said he only had 1 hit yesterday, 1 out of 5. He's probably the only guy who only had 1. They had something like 35 total hits in the game. A lot of home runs. The Phillies won 16-13. The pitch. A ground ball to Grace. He's got it. Flips to Maddux. Easy out. From Mark Grace to Greg Maddux. And Dykstra's retired. That'll bring up Steve Jeltz. He hit 8th yesterday. And all he got was 3 out of 4.
Completely different day today with the wind blowing in toward the Cub dugout. So unlike yesterday, where the ball was flying all over the ballpark, It will aid a fly ball down the left field line, but hold up anything to right and right center.
Now the pitch, here it is. Jeltz takes a low, ball one. Steve Jeltz, who hadn't hit a home run for about 5 or 6 years, and this season has hit 3 of them. Ball, strike call over the inside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike.
It's a completely different year for Greg Maddux, who started out this season 1-5. Last year he was 15-3 at the All-Star break, but since that 1-5 start, he's 12-3 and coming on strong.
There's the pitch, a little low. Ball 2. 2 balls and a strike. Maddux, who's won 13 and lost 8, shooting for his 14th victory of the year. And that gets you up in pretty good company.
Mike Scott leading the National League in victories with 17, but he had to miss his last start.
Here's the pitch, swung and missed. Maddux would be tied for second to Mike Scott's 17. McGrain has won 14, Hershiser has won 14, and Whitson has won 14, and Maddux shooting for number 14 today. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Now the delivery. Ball 3. 3-2. Von Hayes is next.
Last 17 starts for Maddux. The bullpen, as far as middle relief, might as well have gone home. He's averaging right around 7 innings per start in his last 17 times out.
3-2 pitch. Fouled it off his leg, and he's in pain. He's on his knees. Now he's getting up. Look at him limp around a little bit. Boy, those hurt. And then from the dugout, you hear the taunts of the players. Arf, arf, arf. He got that one right on the puppies. 3 balls, 2 strikes. He's showing a little hesitancy about walking back into the batter's box, walking around a little bit, trying to get the circulation flowing again.
Tommy Herr missed the game yesterday and is also on the bench today. He's got a little case of the flu. And so Jeltz pressed into Ashenek's second base.
Rooftop. I guess they're barbecuing again over there. Boy, you'd think they'd send up some of that barbecue we could partake in. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Bouncing ball to Grace. He doesn't run very hard. He might have to leave the game. He's limping down the line and limping towards the dugout. 2 out.
Jeltz still in a lot of pain, so we'll have to see if that stiffens up on him further.
Oh, boy, he's really limping. Watch it. Let's show him the play again, Arnie. He didn't run. You could tell he was in real pain. 2 out. And here is Von Hayes. He only had 1 out of 4 yesterday, but he scored 3 runs. There's a strike call. John Kruk will be next. Drove in 4 runs and scored 5. With his 4 out of 5. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out.
At least to this point, the 4-man rotation doesn't appear to hurt Maddux. He's got a very good fastball today. And
he's young.
Breaking ball looks sharp. You're right. He's the youngest man in that rotation.
Now the pitch swung on. Drilled hard and foul. And a spectator reached over the wall. He was going to catch that barehanded. He's going to catch that hard drive barehanded. I'm glad he didn't touch it because he might have suffered a broken hand. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out.
The league has made an adjustment to Von Hayes. More times than not, when they throw him the breaking ball, it's inside and he pulls it foul like he did the last time. And
1
then
ball,
they jam him.
2 strikes, the pitch is inside. 2-2. Hayes hitting .269, 15 homers, 54 RBI. 2-2 pitch. Inside, ball 3. 3-2. 2 out. He struck him out over the inside corner. He threw his bat in the air. Sometimes you see guys ejected for that. 1, 2, 3. We go on the bottom of the first, no score.
Frank, I send you for a Bud Light, and you bring back...
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
So, there are no men here, there's an unlimited supply of Bud Light, and we can never leave.
Correct.
Because everything else is just a light.
We can live with that.
Yeah.
Harry Carey back at the ballpark. Randy Reddy is replacing Steve Jeltz, who hurt his ankle with a foul tip or instep. And Randy Reddy, who tied up the ball game yesterday with a 2-run pinch home run, 10-10, replaces Jeltz at second base.
Don Carmen going to the mound at just 3-11. The ERA 4.60 this year, but the Cubs know that he can throw the ball pretty well because he's 5-1 against them lifetime. That's how they'll line up defensively behind Don Carmen. He throws a lot of high fastballs. Yesterday, with the wind blowing out, would have been a tough day for him to pitch. It's a little better today with the wind blowing in. And last time out, Carmen threw a beautiful ball game at St. Louis, going 8 innings, giving up just 3 hits and no runs. So though he got off to a shaky start this year, he's throwing the ball pretty well at this time.
There's Jerome Walton, who was hitting 21 games in a row.
Charlie Hayes in close at third to take away the bunt.
Carmen, first pitch. Curve is in there, a strike call.
Carmen's got a much better breaking ball these days because Darryl Knowles talked to him in spring training about shortening it up. He couldn't get his slow breaking ball over the plate. Now he's right in between a curveball and a slider, and he's got good rotation on it.
He fouls it back. He's in the hole 0-2. Yeah, watching the Cubs is getting to be a habit. 0-2 the count. Jerome Walton trying for a base hit that would extend his batting streak to 22 in a row. 0-2 the count. Whoa, hit by the pitch ball. Carmen had an 0-2 count and hit Walton on the left thigh with a pitch ball.
Darren Dalton wanted the ball inside, but he wasn't thinking about this far inside. It got Walton in a spot that probably won't hurt him in the long run, but a little discomfort at this time.
And here is Sandberg. 9 home runs in his last 14 games. 4 home runs. Actually 5 home runs in his last 4 games. Right-hand batter waiting. A hot hitter. Strike call over the outside corner. Sandberg is batting .354 over his last 23 games. With 5 doubles, a triple, 9 homers, and 19 RBI. The last man to hit 5 home runs in 5 days consecutively was Hack Wilson over 60 years ago. And that's what Sandberg is trying to do, tie him today.
Hack Wilson's the only Cub ever to hit home runs in 5 straight. So Sandberg would be joining some select company.
A 1-1 pitch outside. 2 balls and a strike.
Carmen gives up a lot of home runs, 16 this year, which leads his staff in that department. Now he's only thrown 107 innings, so 16 home runs is a whopping total.
Watch Walton taking lead off first. 2 balls and a strike. He might be going. Ball 3. I'm glad he wasn't. 3 balls and a strike. Sandberg, the hitter. Mark Grace next.
I think you might see him going on this pitch, and he's got to watch the move of Carmen. Most pitchers in a situation where they even suspect the runner's going to be going give them their best move at first, and I'm sure Jose Martinez, the first base coach, has alerted Walton to watch him carefully, make sure he delivers the ball if he is going.
3 balls, 1 strike. The pitch, there he goes. Ball 4. Sandberg draws a base on ball. And that will bring him Mark Grace. Grace had 2 out of 4 yesterday. As a matter of fact, Sandberg in yesterday's ball game had 4 out of 5, scored 4 runs, and batted in 4. What a day. And to have his team lose. Runners at first and second. Boy, why you gotta love that Don Zimmer. I asked him yesterday why he took out Sutcliffe so early the day before. Here's a pitch. High and inside. And he gave me a reasonable answer. I asked him today, in effect, why did he let Pico pitch so long? And he just took the blame for letting him. He said he had a left-hander in the bullpen. He should have brought him in to pitch to Dalton, but that's just a play he let get by him. There's a pitch outside, ball 2. And Darren Dalton, the catcher. You know, most managers would bristle when you ask him about plays like that. But Zim knows it's all part of the game, and he accepted as such. And when a deal comes around that he knows that he maybe could have managed differently, he comes right out and says so. And that's as refreshing as anything I've ever seen in baseball, lo these many, many years of covering it.
Cubs very happy to have Andre Dawson back in the lineup, because even when he's not hitting the baseball, he certainly adds a different dimension to this club defensively in the outfield. So the knee apparently sound enough for him to play today.
2 balls and nothing. The pitch. Swung, and he had a good cut, but he fouled it back. That was a high slider, a breaking ball of some sort. 2 balls and a strike.
Now, if you're on base, you take a long look at that third base coach, because Don Zimmer doesn't mind the hit and run with 2 men on. A 2-1 count, it's ideal. And you got 2 good base runners in Walton and Sandberg.
Left-hand hitter up there, though. The pitch, there they go. Swung on, he hits it on the ground. The runners will advance. And so it's runners at second and third with only 1 out. And the play worked because Grace hit the ball on the ground as the runners were going.
Zim stayed out of 2, and he moved up 2 men in scoring position for Andre Dawson, who hits high fastballs. So Don Carmen should be made for him.
Boy, what would bring this club, in case they are affected by the ball game yesterday, back to their resiliency, would be Andre Dawson delivering a hit here. Runners at second and third. Andre hitting only .238. The curve is high, ball 1.
No club is immune to slumps, but let me tell you something about the character of this ball club. They had a terrible loss to San Francisco in San Francisco when Kevin Mitchell beat Rick Sutcliffe late with a home run. Then they lose the 18-inning games to Pittsburgh. Another tough loss, but they came roaring back from both of those losses with some winning streaks. This team has character.
Now the pitch. Strike call. A ball and a strike. 1 out. Runners at second and third. A long fly would produce a run. A base hit would produce 2 runs. One of the Dawson specialties would produce 3 runs. 1 ball, 1 strike. The pitch. Inside, ball 2. Lloyd McClendon would be next. Dawson hitting only .238, 11 homers, 42 RBI. Berryhill is driven in 41. 2 balls and a strike. The pitch. A high pop foul out of play. And the count is evened up.
I don't know if Ryne Sandberg is giving location. Some hitters want it, some hitters don't. And it's easy for a runner at second base to do that, especially when you have a catcher like Darren Daulton who sets up very early. So the hitter really doesn't have to look back at all, but Daulton has been setting up inside well before the pitch is delivered. And Sandberg, of course, can see him move. All he's got to do is move one hand to either side and let the hitter know where the pitch is coming.
2 balls, 2 strikes, infield back. Swings and he fouls it back. Had a good cut. The count it's evened up. Andre Dawson against the Philadelphia pitching. He's had a homer this year, but he's been held to only 6 hits in 31 times at bat. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The pitch. Fouled it back again. He's staying alive. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jam-packed ballpark. Beautiful afternoon.
You could tell that Daulton set up very early inside that time. Carmen throws a lot of high fastballs. That's good to hit fly balls and sacrifice fly situations. And we'll take a look in at Darren Daulton and see how early he does set up.
2-2 pitch. Struck him out. Boy. So now it's up to Lloyd McClendon. Dawson strikes out with runners at second and third and 1 out. McClendon has had only 2 hits in 13 times at bat against Philadelphia pitching. Two out, 2 on. High outside fastball. Berryhill would be next.
The Cubs 29-9 against left-hand pitching. And you can see one of the reasons is because Lloyd McClendon just punishes the left-handers. And this is a big situation for the Cubs, trying to get on the board early after a loss yesterday.
Now the pitch. Strike call. A curveball at the knees on the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. A chance to break out in front. Now ready. One. Whoa, almost hit him. 2 balls and a strike. He's pitching very carefully to McClendon. He's got first base open. Berryhill would be next.
The weakest of the outfielders defensively is John Kruk in left field. But he's got decent enough speed to get to the ball. He's a converted first baseman.
Now the pitch. Swung and he foul tipped it. And the count is 2-2. Earl and Dixie Gallagher of Scottsdale, Arizona, hoping to see the Cubs win. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 out. Hot smash, knocked down, recovered, throws to first in time. Randy Reddy knocked it down and threw him out. So the Cubs waste a great opportunity. No hits, no runs, 2 left. At the end of 1, no score.
The 1989 official Chicago Cubs gift catalog is now available to all fans, with more than 200 unique Cub items featured in this year's catalog, including Cub caps, jackets, and the official players' jerseys. There's also plenty of Chicago Bears, Bulls, and Hawks merchandise. To receive your free catalog, call 1-800-358-1000, extension 282. The Cubs 1989 gift catalog. Call now.
Harry Carey back at the ballpark. Here is John Kruk. He wore the Cubs out yesterday. He had 4 out of 5. 5 runs scored, tying a club record. 4 RBI. A good left-hand hitter. Here's a pitch. A little bit outside, ball 2. When he was traded from San Diego to the Phillies, his batting average was 184. He's hitting an even 300 right now.
He's got a 15-game hitting streak to protect, and since putting on that Philly uniform, he's been red hot.
Now the pitch is outside. Ball 3.
And here he's a man who you'd love his approach to hitting. He doesn't know anything about the scientific aspect of it. He just looks for the ball and tries to hit it somewhere.
Now the pitch. Strike call. 3 balls and a strike.
I asked him if he could explain why he's gotten hot as a Philly. He said, I don't know. Just seeing the ball a little better, I guess.
There's a drive into left field. Way back, way back. Well, great catch by McClendon. Holy cow. Lloyd McClendon made a great catch, robbing Kruk of extra bases.
Fortunately, this ball went into the well. Had it been to straightaway left center field, it's a home run. But you can see McClendon. He goes into the well, and just before he runs out of room, he pulls it right off the vines to make the play.
Well, he's got a little ivy in his glove, too, I think. Here's Ricky Jordan. And there's Kruk. He looks a little bit like Babe Ruth, doesn't he? I don't mean hitting, I mean facially.
I think he's built exactly like him. Babe might have been a little bigger.
Here's another big guy yesterday. Ricky Jordan, who batted in 4 runs, scored 3 runs, had 3 hits, including the game winner. Whoa, there's a throw. He's out. Boy, you hope you got a good look at that. You rarely see it. Greg Maddux missing a ground ball. He should have had it himself, but Dawson recovered for him.
Because the ball was inside, Jordan was turned around in the batter's box, and he can't get out of the box quickly. Dunston guns him down easily at first base. Jordan had the bat broken, and Greg Maddux missed an opportunity for a 1-3 out.
That's 5 in a row retired by Maddux, and that will bring up Charlie Hayes, who had 3 runs batted in yesterday. The pitch. A high pop foul, should be caught by Mark Grace, and he's got it. 6 in a row retired by Maddux. We go in the bottom of the 2nd, no score.
What do you have?
Give me 2 pizza puffs, a chili dog.
Excuse me. Gus.
1 minute.
Sorry.
Give me 2 pizza puffs, a chili dog, a large.
Hey, look. Gus, I told you, to be hot dog kings, we need lots of Bud Light. Not Bud Light?
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
Now what do you think? It's beautiful.
Because everything else is just a light.
Hey, what about my pizza puffs?
Harry Carey and Steve Stone, we're back at Wrigley Field. We're going into the bottom of the 2nd. And here's Damon Berryhill to lead it off, hitting .256. Hey, they're here for, hey, Josh, they're here from Amherst. Your alma mater, almost. What are you, a sophomore this year? There's the pitch. And Berryhill, hitting right-handed, takes a strike call. Dan Banyas, Dave Truman, and Charlie Horton from Amherst College. Students from 3 different states here today. 1 ball, 1 strike.
It was a tough climb for Don Carmen. He spent 6 years in the minor leagues after signing as an amateur free agent in 1978.
2 balls and a strike.
At first glance, it looks like the record against the Cubs is very impressive for Carmen, but he's only beaten the Cubs 1 time in this ballpark in 4.5 years in the major leagues.
There's the strike call. Carmen has beaten the Cubs 5 times during his career. He's been touched for 16 homers. There's a pitch foul out of play. A happy birthday to Amy Falk. And also to John Austin. 4 years old today, watching the game in Orlando, Florida. John Austin. There's a pitch outside. Mitch Williams' wife, Dee, has a lot of relatives here. Her mother and aunt, Mildred Grammer from Ennis, Texas, and Willie Mae Dietrich from Austin, Texas, are here. Here's a pitch, ball 4. And again, the Cubs get their leadoff man on. That will bring up Domingo Ramos, hitting .291. 1 homer, 15 RBIs, and he's batting .500 against the Philly pitching staff. 6 out of 12.
Domingo's natural stroke is to right center field. So it's kind of a mystery why Len Dykstra is playing him a couple steps toward left center field. There is a gap in right center and down the line in right for Ramos.
Now the pitch a little bit outside, ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes.
Vance Law on a day-to-day basis hurt his elbow yesterday, so Ramos getting a chance to start.
The pitch, swung, fouled, into the stands and right. Let's see. Mitch Williams' wife, Dee, her mother and aunt, Mildred Grammer from Ennis, Texas, and Willie Mae Dietrich from Austin. Well, I guess Ennis might be near Arlington. Here's a pitch. There's a drive in the right field, going to be caught. Hayes is back there and he has it. Ramos hit the ball deep to right field, but out. 1 gone. Here's Dawson, who had 4 out of 5 yesterday, raised his average to .271.
Dunson's been hitting the ball back up the middle quite a bit, and he said it's not anything he's doing intentionally, but he has changed his stance. And the man that he credits was John Vukovich. Way back when he was a coach of the Cubs, he told Dunston he looked at films of him in high school, and his feet were straight away. He thought he could generate more power if he kept his stance straight away. And so Sean, who remembered the advice of John Vukovich, went back to that stance, and he's hit the ball ever since.
There's the pitch outside. Birthday greetings to Eric and Brandon O'Rourke, good friends of Jimmy Farrell, the umpire's room manager. Jimmy's been around Wrigley Field for a long time. There's a pitch low. There's Jimmy Farrell right there, great little guy. And his friends, Eric and Brandon O'Rourke, are celebrating a birthday. 2 balls, no strikes on Sean. Boy, what a ball player this kid has become. Whoa, almost gets away, ball 3. 3 balls, no strikes.
The Cubs would like to take advantage of this early game wildness on the part of Don Carmen. There hasn't been a hit in the ball game, but Carmen has hit a man, walked 2, and on a verge of walking his 3rd.
Maddux, a pretty good hitting pitcher with 13 hits to his credit, will be next. They might turn Sean loose. The pitch. Ball 4. He walked him. And that's the 3rd base on balls. Besides the hit batsman, that Carmen is given. The Sean-o-meter is a .271. It didn't rise that time, but it stayed the same. The Bona family, Jim, Juanita, and Julie Bona, B-O-N-A, are here from Gilbert, Arizona.
Chuck Cartier in a short meeting with Maddux. That tells you that He might be squaring around and then pull the bat back, maybe chopping the ball in the infield. When you square around, you create some holes in that infield with everybody moving to get in position in case you do bunt. And Maddux has enough bat control and an ability to hit the ball to the right side that the Cubs might try that play.
He swings, fouls it back. A longtime Cub fan, Marty Sebian, celebrating a birthday today. And so Sarah Genson celebrating a birthday. A friend of Jack Rosenberg. Oh, and 1 the count. Whoa, boy, good save in there by Darren Dalton. And he is jumping all over the place. Carmen, a little wilder than usual.
Carmen only has 2 wild pitches this year, but he's been saved 2 wild pitches in this ball game by Darren Dalton, who's shown very good mobility.
1 ball, 1 strike. Ball 2. Almost got away from Darren Dalton. Again, he made a fine stop. I wonder, could you think maybe they might put on a hit and run with Maddux? He always gets a piece of the ball.
I don't think they'd do it, only because you've got Damon Berryhill at second base. Although Don Zimmer is likely to do most anything. But with the control that Carmen's exhibited, he's liable to throw one high and outside, and then Berryhill would be dead to rights at first. So Don Zimmer, who managed a wild one yesterday against the Phillies, trying to break on top early in this one.
2 men are on, 1 out. The pitcher, Greg Maddux, up there. 2 balls and a strike. And now he wants to talk to the catcher. Tricia Teofilo from Kewaskum, Wisconsin, celebrating her 12th birthday with her family here.
Chuck Cartier going over to talk with Don Zimmer. You don't see this too often with the third base coach going over to the dugout. Now he's going to talk with Maddux again. And that'll prompt Dickie Thon to come in and talk with Don Carmen. So a lot of meetings going on in the infield in a tough situation.
The men and women of the 534th Military Police Company, United States Army, Fort Clayton, in the Republic of Panama, are here watching the ball game. 2 balls and a strike. A bouncing ball. Out at second, safe at first. And so Jerome Walton will have a chance to hit in his 22nd straight game. And if he does, he'll drive in a run. That's how he hit in his 21st yesterday with a slow roller down the third base line that he beat out and a run scored. He got an RBI and a hit.
Carmen has been working Walton inside, as have most of the Philly pitchers. And with that in mind, Berryhill has got to come down the line, have all his momentum going forward, because Carmen might just steer one low and in. Might get by Dalton.
There's a pitch, a strike call.
Jerome not too happy with that call by Greg Bonin. Looked like a high breaking ball. Might have curved a little late, but Bonin thought it was good enough.
Now ready. Outside. The Sharp family from Portland, Oregon, hoping to see the Cubs win. A ball and a strike. Runners first and third.
Another great Cub fan, Mel Corey, looking on in Oregon.
Inside. Ross French is here from La Canada, California. He's a writer for the Pasadena Star News in Pasadena, California. here with his father. He had a good cut. That ball would have been hit in the right field if he connected. 2-2 now. Carmen got out of a jam by striking out Dawson in the first, getting McClendon on a hard smash. Now he's got 2 out, 2 on in the second. 2-2 on Jerome Walton. Ball 3. And on the pitch now, Greg Maddux will be breaking. 3 balls, 2 strikes. The runner on first will be going with the pitch. There he goes. Ball 4. The bases are loaded for Sandberg. 3 walks in the inning. And Ryne comes up with the bases loaded. And the feeling of excitement goes through the crowd.
Ryne Sandberg with 1 career grand slam, coming off a right-handed pitcher for the Atlanta Braves named Frank LaCourte.
Bases loaded, 2 out. He walked his first time up. Carmen gets set. Don Carmen, the pitch. Whoa, almost threw it away. Ball 1. And there goes Dalton again to talk to him. Good friend of Bill Sullivan. Bill here from the Valleys in Vegas. Flora Friedman celebrating a 87th birthday today.
Nick Leyva coming out to talk with Don Carmen. Whenever a pitcher is struggling with his control, especially one that doesn't have a particularly good breaking ball, a hitter can take advantage of it by looking for one pitch, and that's a fastball. And with Carmen, the fastball generally is up and out over the plate. So Ryne in a good situation with all of the pressure on Don Carmen. You know he's got to throw a strike, and he doesn't generally throw it down. Those turn into line drives somewhere.
One of Michigan's biggest Cub fans, Darren Detmeyer, from the Sawyer Air Force Base, and Ralph Adams from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, watching the ball game. 1 ball, no strikes.
Big gap,
bases loaded.
Big gap in left center field with Len Dykstra just a couple of steps over to the second base side of second base.
Ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. Joey and Jody Cibetta from Lake Havasu City, Arizona. 2 balls, no strikes. There's a slider in there for a strike called. 2 balls and a strike.
Len Dykstra shifting with every pitch. Now that Ryne Sandberg is ahead of Carmen, he has moved over to the third base side of second, playing him as a pull hitter. Early in the count, he was on the first base side of second.
2 balls and the strike. The pitch. Ball 3 inside. Boy, look where Charlie Hayes is playing. If Sandberg hits the ball at all softly towards third, he'll beat it out. 3 balls, 1 strike, bases loaded. Strike 2, and now everybody will be running. It's a 3 ball, 2 strike, 2 out situation on Ryne Sandberg. Walt will be breaking. off first. Maddux off second. Hill off third. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Now ready? Takes a lot of time. He walked him. Sandberg drives in his 55th run of the year. And Berryhill crosses the plate. The Cubs lead 1-0.
Ryne Sandberg takes a look at a high fastball, and Don Carmen having all kinds of problems with 5 walks. The Cubs, without a base hit, lead 1-0.
Here now is Mark Grace. Bases loaded, 2 out, 1 in. Carmen has walked 5 and hit 1. Ball is low. 1 ball, no strikes. Unusually wild. Carmen had walked 53 men in 107 innings going into the game.
Larry McWilliams up and throwing in the bullpen.
1 ball, no strikes. Ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. I would imagine if this pitch is good, Grace is going to be laying for it, even though he has walked 4 men in the inning.
You've got to look fastball. Take anything else well ahead of the pitcher, with all the pressure falling on the shoulders of Don Carmen.
Ball 3. 3-0. Jimmy Machinist, good friend of Peggy Gons. And a group of good guys watching the ball game. 3-0. The count. There's a strike called. 3-1. Mark Grace, a very disciplined hitter. It'll have to be in there for him to swing. 3 balls, 1 strike. The pitch. Popped it up. That'll end the inning. Dykstra's there to end the inning. But 1 run without a hit. 3 men left on base. The Cubs have stranded 5. At the end of 2, they lead 1-0.
When I hit one over the fence at Wrigley Field, I hit it over a true link fence. The hundreds of styles of chain link, ornamental iron, and wood fencing called True Link.
The '89 Cubs are brought to you in part by Pepsi Cola General Bottlers of Chicago. Pepsi, a generation ahead.
Harry Carey back at Wrigley Field. We're going to the top of the 3rd. And the Cubs lead 1-0.
Not a hit in the ball game to this point. And so a double no-hitter with the Cubs on top.
Here's Darren Dalton. We had a big 3-run homer yesterday.
Dalton showed good power the other way. That's what he's hitting against the Cubs, but he's not hitting much against anybody else.
The pitch. Only 192. 8 homers, 34 RBI. He had only 1 hit yesterday, but that was the biggest hit of all. It put him back in the ball game. 2 balls and a strike.
There's a platoon system behind the plate with Darren Dalton and Steve Lake. Lake, the right-handed hitting counterpart.
Did he go around? Yes, he did. They appealed to Bob Davidson, the third base umpire, who indicates that Dalton went around. 2-2 pitch, way outside. 3 balls, 2 strikes. We're in the top of the 3rd. Hot shot right at Sandberg. He's got it over to first for the out. You know, Sandberg's a Golden Glover perennially. I would imagine his glove would sell more than any other glove. They ought to make nothing but a Ryne Sandberg glove. If you're an infielder, that's what you want to wear. One out, here's Dickie Thon. Curve in there, a strike call. One out, nobody on.
If you've got to get out Dickie Thon in a tough situation, you've got to go to the breaking ball.
That evens a count, a ball and a strike. This is the only day game in the major leagues until a little bit later on. The pitch. Outside. Milwaukee at Cleveland, I think, has a night doubleheader, and so is Boston at Baltimore. That evens a count, 2-2.
It's an oddity for Philadelphia this year, and it's really taxed their pitching staff. They've been rained out 7 times, but all 7 times at home, and that's on the artificial surface. In fact, since 1985, 17 rainouts, all at home.
There's the pitch outside. 3-2 on Dickie Thon. Don Carmen looking for his first hit of the season. Three-two pitch. He walked him. And Dickie Thon is on. And that gives Carmen an opportunity to bunt him along.
It's a shame that Carmen is in a bunt situation as far as the Cubs are concerned, because this is one of the worst hitting pitchers probably in the history of the game. 8 for 183 lifetime, pencils out to an .044 batting average. And he's 0 for 38 right now over 2 years. 0 for 24 this year, but he'll be laying it down.
Here's the pitch. He bunts it foul.
Carmen has sacrificed 6 times this year.
One to nothing. Favor the Cubs. Boy, look at look where down Ramos is charging. Strike 2.
I'd just like to see a hitting contest between Mike Bilecki and Don Carmen. If you get it on the outfield grass, I'll give you a home run.
You shouldn't speak so deprecatingly. What were you, 0 for 34?
But that was my first year, but I came around with 4 hits my second year.
What'd you get your third year?
Third year, they had the good sense to trade me to the American League, Harry.
0-2 the count.
Berryhill went out to tell Maddux, as long as Carmen is going to bunt with 2 strikes, which he most likely is, you might as well try to throw a high fastball and see if you can get a pop-up.
Let me tell you what Bilecki is. Throw over the first, runner back. He's 6 out of 131 during his career as a batter. He had 5 hits previously.
Well, maybe he's just in a slump this year.
Yeah. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That evens it up 2-2, a little bit outside. He threw him a curveball. Ramos playing very shallow, and Grace is coming in charging. He's got to hold the runner on first. There goes the runner, and they advance the man. Throw to first for the out. Carmen sacrifices. They started the runner, and that meant that there was no play for him at second.
Greg Maddux made somewhat of a mistake that time because he allowed Dickie Thon a running lead. And the one thing they teach all pitchers is make sure that you get the base runner stopped. Stop his momentum so he can't continue on. They had no chance, even on a hard bunted ball, to get Dickie Thon at second base.
Lenny Dykstra, a tough hitter. Inside for ball 1. They play him straight away in the outfield and straight away on the infield.
Dykstra is able to drive in some big runs for the Phillies. And he seems to get better with runners in scoring position, as you can tell by the graphic that shows he's hitting .313 in that situation.
Bouncing ball. Good play by Sandberg. Out at first base. A sparkling play by Ryne Sandberg. Going to his left on the outfield grass to make the play. So they strand one. We go into the bottom of the third. 1-0 Cubs.
She's a long one. So long, she got a clock in the front and back seat.
Why's that?
Different time zones. You get it?
Right.
76 unleaded super, huh? Is that a big deal?
Yep, it's our highest octane unleaded.
Hog ties them knocks and pings, huh?
Yeah, it helps clean your port fuel injectors. Check your water and oil.
The water's okay. How's oil, hon?
Down a court, JT.
Down a court, JT.
Go with the spirit of 76.
Harry Carey back in the ballpark.
Now that's quite a likeness.
That really is. I love that. Do I look that good? There we go with Andre Dawson to lead it off. Mary Carmody of the Illinois Farm Bureau out of Bloomington here with the group. 1 ball, no strikes. And the Cutting family from Shawnee, Oklahoma. There's a drive! Way back! It might be! It is! Holy cow! That's what we've been waiting to see. And Andre is circling the bases. The Cubs lead 2-0. And Andre's lovely wife may be delivering their first child any day now. And I just had a great idea for the first name. Homer, if it's a boy. Homer Dawson. And True Value Hardware happily donates another $100 to the Cubs Care in the fight against cancer. And look at Andre grinning from ear to ear. He is a happy man. There's a drive in the left field. It is a base hit. McClendon's going to try for second base. He makes it. Now he's going to try to go to third. Changes his mind. Gets back to second. A double to left for McClendon.
The year that Andre Dawson hit 49 home runs, I don't think he smiled near as much as he did after hitting his 12th home run of the year and his 43rd RBI. It's been a struggle for him. And he got a hold of one, the 17th home run that Carmen has given up this year.
Hey, isn't that a great idea?
Hope it's a boy.
If the first child is a boy, name him Homer.
Good for everybody, I think, but Homer.
A runner at second base, nobody out. The pitch to Berryhill. Fouls it back, trying to hit the right field. Andre, look at that. He is really reacting to that home run. Maybe that's taken off all that pressure that's been on him.
Well, the fact is, Harry, that Don Zimmer realizes how important he is to this club. And when he was physically able to come back in the lineup, he did. And it's absolutely amazing, the fact that that knee has held out this long and this well.
There's a smash on one bounce. Reddy has it over to first. But McClendon races to third. You know, the reason that Zim mentioned he didn't get a shot of cortisone yesterday. Here's the home run again.
The fastball is down, but Andre Dawson likes it nonetheless, and he drives it way back in left center field. And the Chicago Tribune round trip replay shows the home run went around 390 feet to left center.
Come on. Come on. 32 feet. It's 368 to the wall. Isn't the last row more than 32 feet up?
31 and a half. Arnie said he was out there in the bleachers this morning with a tape measure.
There's a smash. Base hit. Ramos drives in the run. Ramos drives in his 16th run of the year. A hot smash past Charlie Hayes. And 3-0 in favor of the Cubs.
When you talk about unsung heroes for the Cubs in 1989, the name of Domingo Ramos has got to be prominent. Anytime Don Zimmer needed somebody in the middle infield, Domingo Ramos has come through, and he comes through once again, driving the ball into left field past the diving Charlie Hayes, with the Cubs making life miserable for Don Carmen.
Here now is Dunston. He walked his first time. Only one out, 3-0 Cubs. Pitches inside. They're here from Brevard, North Carolina. Dottie and Wally Henson.
Let's watch Lloyd McClendon's double. John Kruk playing him deep, and he can't get to this ball, and credit Lloyd McClendon with some hustle. He realizes that John Kruk does not have the greatest arm in left field, and he throws the ball well off the mark at second. McClendon, thinking about third, decides to hold at second.
Here's Dunston again. 1 ball, no strikes. Eddie Calvano from San Dimas, California. Hey, they're having a heck of an
Darren Dalton's out
there.
of the game.
Dalton, I think, has been kicked out. Here's Nick Leyva, the manager, coming out. Apparently, Dalton thought that Benet had been squeezing. He has been kicked out of the ball game.
That takes a big left-handed bat out of the lineup, and Steve Lake will come in to catch for Philadelphia. But he's a right-hander without a whole lot of power, so that's a big loss. Leyva, who jumped out yesterday to protect Len Dykstra when Greg Benet was hit down the line at first base, trying to save him from getting ejected, could not get to the plate quickly enough because it happened in a hurry. Dalton turned back, said something to Benet he didn't like, and he just threw him out of the game. And before Leyva could get out there, it was too late.
All right, Steve Lake will replace him behind the plate. The Cubs are leading 3-0. They have a runner at first with 1 out, and Sean Dunston with a count of 1 ball and no strikes. They're visiting here from Portland, Maine, the Cantos family. Whatever he said, the magic word. And it didn't take Greg Benet long to wave him out. Now, Steve Lake, I think he's still warming up the bullpen, isn't he?
No, he's getting ready in the dugout. Larry McWilliams warming up in the bullpen. This is going to give him all kinds of time to get loose if Nick Leyva wants to make a change, and Carmen might but be just 1 hitter away from coming out of this one.
Let's watch Andre Dawson's home run. A low fastball, almost out of the ballpark. Look how many rows they have in the bleachers. That has to cover more than 32 feet. All right, Lake is the new catcher. And the count on Dunston is 1 ball, no strike. Wayne Reisman, one of the WGN executives watching the ball game. And they're here representing 4 generations from Lake Forest. Joe Friedlander, his son-in-law, grandson, and great-grandson are with him. Here's Dunston. The Cubs had 5 men left on base the first 2 innings without a single hit. Here in the third, Carmen hasn't walked anybody, but he's given up 3 hits. Now ready? He swings and he misses. A Jane Kirk, who owns a bar in Stillwater, Oklahoma, which is a great college town, watching the Cubs play for the first time in her life. She's with Doug Hawthorne. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Struck him out over the inside corner. Dunston called out. That'll bring up Greg Maddux.
It was a pitch very similar to that got Darren Dalton run out of the ball game. An inside fastball to lead off the Dunston at bat. Dalton thought it was good enough. This time Benet rang him up on the inside fastball.
They're here from the Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota. Here's Maddux. Swung and he missed. Beverly and Glenn Halby are here from Cincinnati. Want to be remembered to Mrs. Rose Fry. Rose is the mother of Jim Fry, the general manager of the Cubs. And we'll be playing the Reds in Cincinnati Tuesday night. Boy, we haven't seen them for a long time. 0-2 on Maddux. 3-0 Cubs. He struck him out. So, 2 runs on 3 hits. Dwayne will be coming along in a moment. Harry Carey from Wrigley Field. We're at the end of 3. The Cubs are out in front, 3-0.
It's just a pure and natural beer for you. So icy cold, so crisp, so clear for you. The king of beer, so fresh, so true for you. You got the taste, this bud's for you.
It's brewed from the choicest natural ingredients. It's Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. And best of all, it's for you.
You got the taste, this bud's for you.
What is that? This is high.
Top of the 4th inning, Randy Reddy is leading it off for the Philadelphia Phillies with Steve Stone and our producer-director Artie Harris. Dwayne Stats. Well, a little more like it. So far, so good today.
Maddux throwing the ball very well, and Philadelphia having 2 guys in their lineup that they didn't start the game with.
And Randy Reddy is one of them. Count on him is 2 balls and a strike. Reddy hitting second. Steve Jeltz started at second base, hitting in that number 2 spot. Ground ball for Grace. Nice pickup by Grace. And Jeltz is the first out. Or rather, Reddy is the first out, hitting in the place vacated by Jeltz. Of course, the other fella in the lineup, Steve Lake, after Darren Dalton was ejected. Boy, Bonet ejected him as almost a reflex action, wasn't it?
It happened in a hurry. In fact, so quickly that Nick Leyva didn't have a chance to get out there. So the Phillies have run out of catchers. They're going to have to go with Steve Lake and hope that he stays healthy throughout this one.
Here's Von Hayes. Pitch upstairs. Hayes called out on strikes on a pitch down and in. Caught the corner at the knees in the 1st inning. Two nothing.
To pass along birthday greetings to a good friend of mine, Linda Carnes, celebrating her birthday today.
The numbers on Hayes, 269. Strike on the inside part of the plate. Maddux stayed in almost exclusively on Hayes in the 1st inning.
He likes to get his arms out, a lot like John Kruk, in that he hits the ball middle of the plate out.
A big cut, and he comes up empty.
That was Maddux taking a little something off the fastball, and that's a trick I think he's learned from Rick Sutcliffe. Sutcliffe gets a lot of mileage out of that, what he calls a batting practice fastball. He doesn't throw a changeup per se. He just doesn't bear down on the fastball, and it comes in about 3 or 4 miles an hour slower than his normal fastball.
And Hayes is out on strikes. Von Hayes goes down swinging this time, out on strikes for the second straight time. 2 up, 2 down. And it brings on John Kruk, who was retired in the second on a fine play by Lloyd McClendon.
The only solid contact Von Hayes made at that at-bat was with the dugout as he was walking back to it. He smoked it with a bat.
Base is empty, 2 gone. The pitch inside. Kruk likes wearing a Philly uniform. At least his bat does. He's been red hot since the trade, hitting .365 with the Phillies. He goes to left. McClendon under this one, and that takes care of the Phillies in the 4th. 3 up, 3 down. Bottom of the frame coming. Cubs 3, Philadelphia nothing.
The Canon Sure Shot Ace with remote control puts you in your own pictures where you ought to be.
You ought to be in pictures. You're wonderful to see. You ought to be in pictures. Oh, what a hit you would be. You ought to be in pictures.
The Canon Sure Shot Ace with remote control, so advanced you get in on the fun.
Canon, the official camera of the Chicago Cubs.
Cubs lead 3-0, and Jerome Walton steps in to open the 4th. Walton's been hit by a pitch and has walked, and takes the first pitch for a strike. Here's a look at Von Hayes when he went back into the dugout. You know what he did? We'll show you in a moment. A high foul out of play down the left side. 2 strikes. This is what he destroyed. Our microphone.
I told you he makes solid contact. Unfortunately, the contact in the dugout. Jerome Walton and John Kruk have hitting streaks on the line. Kruk's had an opportunity to go 0 for 2, but Walton without an official at bat yet.
Jerome with a 21-game hitting streak. Misses this one in the count. He strikes out. Walton now 0 for 1. That 21-game hitting streak, the longest ever for a Cub rookie. That's the 4th strikeout for the Philly pitcher.
With Maddux throwing a no-hitter so far, Dwayne, it points up what a great story Nolan Ryan continues to be in Texas. Last night, taking a no-hitter with into the 9th inning once again, which he seems to do about every 3rd start, only to see it go by the boards. The man's just a marvel. At 40+, he's still throwing the ball with tremendous velocity, and last night, looking at some of the highlights, that curveball was dropping nose to toes, and nobody had a shot at it.
Ryne Sandberg takes the 2nd pitch thrown, and the count is now 1-1. Dave Bergman broke up the no-hitter. A ball and a strike. Wave and a miss. So the count is now a ball and 2 strikes. Carmen has dabbled with a split-fingered pitch. Been a tough year for him, 3-11, but he beat the Cubs the last time he pitched against them over in Philadelphia. There is ball 2, 2-2. He was wild early.
He was essentially a one-pitch pitcher. The only pitch he could get over was a fastball. It was usually up, and Darrell Knowles worked on him very hard, shortening up his curveball, trying to get him to throw it for strikes. He will throw an occasional straight change, but he struggled getting the ball over the plate today.
2-2, and he strikes out Sandberg. 2 strikeouts here in the Cub 4th. 5 strikeouts on the afternoon. So he struck out 5, walked 5, allowed 3 runs, 3 hits. And here's Mark Grace, 0 for 2. Well, Carmen last year was 3-0 against the Cubs, and lifetime is 5-1. Look out, the pitch up and in as Grace ducks that one to get out of there. Carmen has always been in the Phillies system. Misses wide, 2-0.
When you're drafted low or not drafted at all, as was the case with Don Carmen, it's a long climb up their system. And it took him 6 years. He's not an overnight sensation. He worked long and hard to get to the major leagues.
The 2-0 pitch lifted into left. In comes Kruk. And the Cubs are out in order in the fourth. At the end of 4 from Wrigley. The score 3-0 Cubs.
The smartest ideas on campus began on the shelves of your hometown True Value hardware store, where this classic gooseneck lamp from Tensor is only $9.99. Then decorate with Tucker storage crates in great-looking colors, just $2.99 each. This Remington Fuzz-Away shaver, only $5.99, can make shirts and sweaters look like new. And protect your gear with this tough True Guard combination lock, just $1.49 at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
The '89 Cubs are brought to you in part by Pepsi-Cola General Bottlers of Chicago. Pepsi, a generation ahead.
Ricky Jordan takes the first pitch, sweeping low and outside for a ball. Jordan, the Philly first baseman. Charlie Hayes and then Steve Lake will follow. There's a strike on the edge. The count is 1-1. Maddux has struck out 2 and walked 1. The only base runner for the Phillies, the walk to Thod in the third. He stays out there on that corner and picks up another strike. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes.
For a while, the Phillies envisioned John Kruk moving in from the outfield to take over at first base. Then they decided to quit platooning with Jordan and give him an opportunity to face right-handed pitchers and see if he could live up to what he did last year. It's been a long climb for him, but he's slowly starting to hit the ball well again.
A big chop. Sandberg gloves it. Gets rid of it quickly, and Jordan's out at first. All Sandberg could do was wait for that ball to come down on that big hop. But he made the play to retire Jordan.
Jordan has decent speed, but not great speed, and Rhino's got a little time. He realizes he has to get rid of the ball quickly, and Sandberg has one of the strongest arms of any second baseman in the league.
Now Charlie Hayes becomes the hitter. Takes the pitch high. The Phillies, a new look. With all the trades they've made, they've utilized 39 different players this year. 19 pitchers.
That's the most amazing thing, Dwayne. When you have to run 19 different guys on your pitching staff and 13 starters in the course of a season, you know that it's not going to be a particularly good year.
1-1 the count on Charlie Hayes. 2 balls and a strike. They got Hayes in the deal with San Francisco. Sent him to Scranton and then recalled him. He's played well for them. He's shown flashes of power. Ground ball, and that's going to go through for a base hit. So the first hit of the afternoon for the Phillies comes with 1 out in the 5th inning. A clean single in between Dunston and Ramos.
Gordon Walker here of Bauer Buick and Gabor Bushy of Suburban Buick on hand as they see the no-hitter go by the boards. Hayes through the left side.
It's going to bring up Steve Lake. This will be his first trip to the plate. Darren Dalton was ejected from this game in the bottom of the 3rd. So Lake steps in. 1 on, 1 out.
Lake a first ball fastball hitter, so Maddux has to be careful.
The pitch is a strike and a snap throw to first. Hayes back in.
One of the great stories in all of baseball is the story of Dave Dravecky coming back from a cancer operation, going through the minor league system, pitching complete games, and going 8 innings yesterday to beat Cincinnati. And what a lift for the San Francisco pitching staff if Dravecky's all the way back.
The pitch down. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lake with a look down at Larry Boa. A big lift indeed. Boy, what a story. Dave Dravecky, not only battling cancer, but in his pitching arm. A bouncing ball foul. So the count is a ball, 2 strikes.
That's amazing, Dwayne, because you see guys that suffer from arm weakness at various portions of the season. Dravecky had 3/4 of the deltoid muscle carved away through surgery, and they told him he'd never pitch again. That was last year. And just about 15 months later, he not only is pitching, but he's pitching very well, despite the fact he's lost 5 miles an hour off his fastball.
There's a shot into the Philly dugout. Lake better check with his teammates. There's a fellow who's made it back from cancer as well, Darren Jackson, the Cub outfielder. What a great story that is. It's not something that Darren has ever made a big deal of. He's just come back, worked hard. A ball, 2 strikes the count on Lake. Into the dirt, blocked nicely by Damon Berryhill. So the count goes to 2-2 on Lake.
The top of the head of Len Dykstra. Come on, sit up, Len. We're taking a shot of you. There you go. Bobby Dernier sitting to his left.
They're ducking in case Lake is a little late on another fastball. Hayes back in at first. Now that truly was a Lake shot. Right into the Philly dugout.
Wrigley Field and the Chicago Cubs welcome 35 Congressional Medal of Honor recipients and their families on this Medal of Honor weekend in Chicago. This group is hosted by the Illinois Vietnam Veterans Leadership Program. WGN-TV is proud to salute these men who've received our country's greatest honor.
Ball 3, low and away. So full count with 1 on and 1 out in the 5th. Cubs scored a run in the 2nd inning on a bases loaded walk to Ryne Sandberg. Andre Dawson opened the Cub 3rd with a home run. Later in the inning, Domingo Ramos singled home Lloyd McClendon. 3-2 with a runner going. The pitch is low for ball 4. So the Phillies have 2 men on. The 2nd walk of the day given up by Maddux. So the Phillies now will have the tying run at the plate, and the fellow who's capable of hitting the ball out, Dickie Thon. He is strong. 9 home runs for Thon this year. He hit a couple out against the Cubs in Philadelphia last week.
That was a bad situation for Greg Maddux because he has a double play man up in Steve Lake, a man without a whole lot of power. Now he's lost them. That brings to bat the tying run, a man who can hit the ball out of the park.
And Thon takes the first pitch too low, ball 1. Now Don Zimmer, they're going to go out and have a talk with Maddux. Zimmer, well aware of how dangerous a situation this could be with Thon up there. Thon with 9 home runs. I guess Von Hayes with this Philly ball club tops in that department. He has 15, so Thon the 2nd leading home run hitter on this Philadelphia ball club.
And Don also knows that he went through 6 pitchers yesterday, and he's got a tired bullpen. He certainly doesn't want to use Lancaster today. Steve Wilson had some problems with his control yesterday, so he'd like to see Maddux do what he's done 17 straight starts, and that's go at least 7 innings.
The pitch is a strike to Thon. The other thing about Thon, while he's hitting just .238 overall, you put men in scoring position, and his average is .323. One to count.
I think Don Zimmer wants Maddux to stay away from Dickie Thon in this situation. He'd like him to hit the ball the other way. Wind is blowing in toward the Cub dugout, which will hold up the ball in right center.
The pitch low. 2-1. Thon lives in Puerto Rico. He was born in South Bend, Indiana. His father played professionally.
Tella.
Mara. Maddux staying in on him. So the count is 2-2.
A 5-second Lake shot.
Arnie's really getting worried. Cubs 3 runs, 3 hits. Phillies no runs on 1 hit. And that fellow right there, Hayes, Charlie Hayes, picked it up. Lake followed with a walk. 2-2 on Thon. The pitcher Carmen is on deck. Pickoff play at second. Sandberg breaking toward the bag. Nothing out of that.
Nobody up in the bullpen. However, Larry McWilliams is loose and ready to go. He's thrown a lot in this game, and you wonder in the 5th inning if Don Carmen will hit for himself. The odds are overwhelming. He's not going to get a hit if he bats.
Foul ball down the right side. Out of play. Thon originally with the California Angels. Came up with the Angels, traded to Houston. Hit in the eye by a pitch thrown by Mike Torres. Eventually wound up in San Diego. Now the Phillies. And a base hit into left. Hayes around third on his way to the plate. McClendon's throw to Ramos cut off. So Thon, who's been so tough with men in scoring position, comes through here for Philadelphia to make it a 3-1 ball game. That's his 35th run batted into the year as Hayes scores and Lake stops at second.
Location of this pitch is up and on the inner portion. That certainly isn't where you want to go to Dickie Thon in that situation. Maddux wanted to stay away from him. He got the ball inside. He got it up and he paid the price for it.
So the Phillies are on the scoreboard. It's now 3-1. Runners at first and second, and the pitcher Don Carmen will be up there trying to move the runners over. Carmen 0 for 24 on the year. His lifetime numbers, I think he has 8 career hits, something like 8 out of 183 for a career average of 0.44.
Now he's meeting with Larry Boa, and Boa's talking to him about the men charging. If you have any kind of bat control at all, when the men charge you hard at the corners, if you can just bunt it either at straightaway second base or straightaway shortstop, you can make something happen in the infield. But that is, you have to have pretty good bat control.
Well, the Cubs have Ramos in at third and Grace very close at first. And there's the bunt, third base side, a good one, and everybody's going to be safe as Berryhill and Maddux bump into each other. And Carmen is safely aboard. The Phillies have loaded the bases with only 1 out. Carmen put down the bunt, and it's going to go as a hit.
It goes as a base hit. Berryhill and Maddux get tangled up, and Berryhill running him down essentially. A bad break for the Cubs. Not the best executed inning as far as they're concerned, and now they've got big trouble with Len Dykstra.
That's the first hit of the year for Carmen. At one point in his career, he had gone through an 0 for 52 streak.
This was an 0 for 38 streak spanning 2 years.
And now here's Dykstra. Bases are loaded with only 1 out, so a tough spot for Maddux. Dykstra takes the pitch too high for a ball.
Don Carmen's career batting average zooming to an 0.49 after that base hit.
Dykstra is another fella who gets tougher with men in scoring position. 313 on the year in that department. A ball, no strikes. The pitch is close. 2-0. Now the Cubs will get some action in the bullpen. Steve Wilson starts to throw.
The biggest at-bat of the inning was Steve Lake drawing the base on balls. Maddux having some problems with his control.
Foul ball. He had a good cut on a pitch up, and the count is 2-1. Well, the 5th inning yesterday was the nightmare inning for the Cubs when the Phillies scored 7 to tie the game 10-10. Don Zimmer, who's very frank about the way he runs a baseball game and the decisions he will make. He said he just thought the Cub manager didn't take the pitcher out in time yesterday. Foul ball out of play, and the count is 2-2. That's the refreshing thing about Don Zimmer. He's been around this game long enough to know that you're going to make some good moves, and occasionally you'll make some moves that don't work out. And win, lose, or draw, he's there to take credit or blame.
Well, he doesn't accept excuses from his players. He said he doesn't want to hear about them, and he's certainly not going to make any excuses himself.
2-2 the count. Dykstra unloads a high fly ball into right center. Walton is there to make the catch. The tag by Lake. He will score. Thon will go to third. And it's a 3-2 ball game. Sacrifice fly for Dykstra, driving in his 27th run.
Yesterday, Len Dykstra hit the ball as hard as he could to right center field with the wind blowing in late in the ball game. And he sees that it's a different ballpark when the wind is blowing like it is today.
So the Phillies have 2 runs home. Hayes and Lake have scored. Thon's at third. Carmen still at first. 2 outs, and here's Randy Reddy. Reddy looks at a strike. He is nothing out of 1, batting .265 for the year.
Reddy's always been a good hitter since coming up with Milwaukee, later shifting to San Diego, and now Philadelphia, but he's a man without a position essentially.
He pops it up on the right side. Sandberg into short right to make the call. He's got it, and that retires the side. The Phillies scored 2 in the frame on 3 hits and leave 2. Bottom of the 5th coming. 3-2 Cubs.
Things really shake, rattle, and roll when Rockers turn a small town upside down. Playing for keeps. Tonight at 7 on Channel 9.
Later tonight on Channel 9, it's a plot by oil companies to suppress information about synthetic fuel. 2 of the greats, George C. Scott and Marlon Brando, star in The Formula tonight at 11:30 on Chicago's very own Channel 9.
In the bottom of the 5th inning, the Cubs will have Andre Dawson leading off, holding a 3-2 lead against left-hander Don Carmen. Carmen was wild through the first couple innings, including a bases-loaded walk to Ryne Sandberg. He had walked 5 and hit a man by the time he'd gotten through the 2nd inning. But the Cubs had scored only 1 run against him. So the Cubs lead by only a run as Dawson opens the bottom of the 5th. Andre opened the 3rd with a home run. He's 1 for 2. The home run is 12th of the year. The pitch is low for a ball. Andre had the right knee drained yesterday. He had had some medication to take. The pitch is foul right back into the screen. Some anti-inflammatory, but they were actually making him sick, so he stopped taking them for a little while, and the fluid came back on the knee, so he had to have that drained off yesterday. Back in the lineup for this game. Pitch is wide. 2-1.
Bob Kenny from Nuts on Clark has set up some goodies, some chocolate-covered prunes for Arnie.
You like those worms, don't you? Ground ball by the mound. Ready at second. Over to Ricky Jordan. So Dawson is the first out in the 5th. Andre and his lovely wife Vanessa expecting a new addition any day now. Well, here's Lloyd McClendon. Lloyd doubled in the 3rd. He got started and practically could not stop running the bases when that ball got loose on the infield. He had ideas of trying to go to 3rd and then had to scramble back into 2nd.
There's Larry McWilliams, loose and ready to go.
The pitch to McClendon is down, ball 1.
John Kruk was playing Lloyd so deep last time that he couldn't get to that ball that fell in front of him in the third inning.
Fly ball into left center field. Another run for Kruk and Dykstra, and out goes Thon. McClendon's on his way to second, and he's got himself another double. Perfectly placed in among Dykstra, Kruk, and Thon.
They continue to play Lloyd McClendon very deep, and he continues to drop the ball in front of him. This ball's hit off the end of the bat, and Dickie Thon probably with the best shot at this ball, even though it's the toughest play. Dykstra gives up, giving way to Thon, who can't get to it. And Lloyd McClendon, for the second time, in with a two-base hit.
That's his 8th double of the year. See how close Thon came to catching the ball, just out of his reach. So the Cubs have a man in scoring position for Damon Berryhill. Damon has walked and grounded out. Damon started the day hitting .341 right-handed. The pitch is wide for a ball.
The Phillies were very impressed when they took a look at Frank Viola, the newest addition to the Met pitching staff. And they said that he has got about the best changeup that they have seen in a long time. And the Mets getting hot. Swept St. Louis to move 3.5 back of the Cubs.
Down and in as Lake saves a wild pitch. The Mets winning the doubleheader over the Cardinals, so the Cardinals are now 5.5 out. New York 3.5 back. Cubs starting the day leading Montreal by 2.5. Cubs and the Phillies again tomorrow. Again on Sunday, Monday an off day, and the Cubs are on the road next week. The Expos home for a lengthy homestand. The pitch too close, and the count to Berryhill is 3-0. Domingo Ramos is on deck. The pitch way wide for ball 4. So Carmen has given up his 6th walk. Puts runners at first and second with one gone for Ramos. Ramos got around on a breaking ball and pulled it into left, driving in McClendon in the 3rd inning. So he's 1 for 2. There's Darrell Knowles and Nick Leyva. Knowles, the pitching coach for the Phillies. So Ramos now with 16 RBIs on the year. Carmen catches the outside edge.
Larry McWilliams, who certainly should be ready by now, loosening up in the bullpen. When the Cubs get through with the Phillies, they'll play 18 straight games against Cincinnati, Houston, and Atlanta, which rounds out the schedule against the West.
Big cut. Now Ramos is behind 0-2.
McClendon's got to be careful at second base. He's taking a big lead and then really coming down with a pitch, and Steve Lake has got a great arm. He might decide to throw in back of him.
A 2-strike count to Ramos.
Many times a catcher in this situation will call for a fastball high and away and take a chance on gunning somebody down on the bases.
Now Carmen having a little trouble getting together with Lake, who's on his way to the mound to talk it over.
Lake wanted a fastball inside to push Ramos back off the plate, and Carmen, at least to this point, doesn't want to go in there. So Lake going out to the mound, and let's see if they get it all straightened out.
In the 2nd inning, Ramos hit a fly ball to deep right field using what by today's standards is a fairly heavy bat. Gets a little extra carry on the ball sometimes. This one away. A ball, 2 strikes. Two on, 1 out. Ramos playing third in the place of Vance Law. And the pitch is low. That evens the count. Berryhill at first on the walk, following the double by McClendon. Carmen all set. Missing upstairs to take the count all the way out.
I would think Don Zimmer would start the runners, wanting to stay out of the double play situation. Ramos with an unusual batting style in that he grabs that long bat down at the bottom, so much so that his bottom finger or two is over the knob of the bat.
The 3-2. He shoots it foul into the upper deck, forcing Carmen to come in with another 3-2 delivery. Fan had it and lost it in the upper deck. The last seat in the house is taken. We had better than 36,700 yesterday. 39 the day before. Now Thon breaks to the bag. No throw. McClendon goes back to the bag at second. Cubs leading by a run. Have a chance to add to the lead in the fifth after the Phillies scored their 2 runs in the top half of the inning. And there is ball 4. Well, McClendon was breaking on the pitch and Berryhill was staying put. That was kind of strange as Ramos walks.
Well, that's a sign for the half a hit and run. One runner breaks, the other stays there. And here comes Nick Leyva, and I got to believe that's going to be it for Don Carmen.
7 walks for Carmen so far in this game. Sean Dunston scheduled to be the hitter. Boy, it can make a manager's job so tough when he has a struggling pitching staff. A staff that leads the league in walks allowed. And Carmen has done nothing to combat that today.
He's talking to him like he's going to leave him in the game because he's talking about the situation they have at hand. And Greg Bonet out there to break it up, and he is going to leave him in the game.
So Carmen will be pitching to Dunston.
Somewhat of a surprising move with a struggling pitcher. Larry McWilliams is going, I can't get any looser, so I'm just going to stand around for a while.
He's walking around in the bullpen saying, remember me? Well, the Cubs have the bases loaded. They've had some scoring opportunities. Let's see if they can cash in on a big one here in the fifth. A 3-2 ball game. Dunston with a liner over Thon's head into left center. McClendon scores. Berryhill on his way to the plate. Dunston lines a single into left center, chasing home 2. And the Cubs now have a 5-2 lead as Dunston drives in his 35th and 36th runs of the year, and his average is up to 273. Dunston yesterday hit the 272 mark. Now 273, his high water mark of the year.
And when you look at the location of that last fastball, you realize that Nick Leyva took a gamble. He had a struggling pitcher who can't get the ball down, and he allows him to face perhaps one hitter too many. As in the game, watch the swing of Sean Dunston. He's got to go up and get it, and he drives it over the head of Dickie Thon, and Dunston right on the pitch, doing everything he knows to help this ball club win.
So the Cubs have taken a 5-2 lead. Nick Leyva calls for the left-hander Larry McWilliams, and we'll be back after this.
Tonight on Channel 9, a man who needs no introduction.
Here's Benny!
He's handsome. He's honest.
Hey, who says crime doesn't pay?
And when the state is in trouble, his staff is always on their toes. There's Krause, and of course, the governor.
I have no idea what I have to say.
Join Benson and the whole convention tonight at 6:30, only on Channel 9.
Well, the Cubs have a 5-2 lead as Sean Dunston has driven home 2 runs. McClendon and Berryhill in the 5th and chased Don Carmen from the game. Carmen worked 4 1/3, so far charged with 5 runs as he departs in favor of left-hander Larry McWilliams.
McWilliams threw an inning in yesterday's ball game, and he comes into this one with a 2-11 record. 3.72 ERA, on for the 34th time, 16 of those starts. 111 1/3 innings, only given up 2 home runs, walked 46, struck out just 48. And he inherits Cub base runners at first and second, only 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th.
Greg Maddux, the Cub hitter. Maddux bunts up the first base side. Jordan with a pickup and the flip to Reddy. So Maddux puts down his 6th sacrifice of the year. Scored 3-4. Maddux is 6 out of 6 in that department this year. Ramos to third, Dunston up to second.
There is some rain in the Chicago area yesterday. When the rain was coming down in buckets here at the ballpark, it wasn't raining at Kemper Lakes where they were playing the PGA. Just the opposite today. Beautiful sunshiny day here at the ballpark, and play is held up at Kemper Lakes because of lightning and rain.
Well, here is the top of the batting order for the Cubs. Jerome Walton taking the pitch inside. Walton struck out in the 4th inning, has been hit by a pitch and has walked. A 21-game hitting streak for Walton coming into this game, and he has 2 men in scoring position in the 5th.
With the left-hander on the mound, that bunt up the right side is a pretty good play here.
And a line shot again over Thon's head into left center. A base hit. Ramos scores. Dunston's on his way to the plate. And Walton extends his hitting streak to 22. Jerome Walton driving in 2. Those runs charged to the starting pitcher Carmen, and the Cubs now have a 7-2 lead. 34 runs batted in for Walton, and he is within 1 of equaling the longest hitting streak in the National League this year. Jose Oquendo earlier had a 23-gamer. Walton now with 22.
He got a low fastball, drove it over the head of Dickie Thon. And 34 RBIs is a lot of production for a man who missed part of this year and is hitting at the top of the batting order. And Sean Dunston also with a lot of production at the bottom of the batting order.
Ryne Sandberg takes the first pitch in. So the Cubs have scored 4 times in the 5th. There's a shot deep to left. Crook back. That ball is gone. Home run for Ryne Sandberg. Ryne Sandberg on a 1-0 pitch has lined one out of here. Sandberg has homered in 5 games in a row. That's his 22nd of the year. A 2-run blast. It's a 6-run inning and a 9-2 ball game. Ryne, oh might. A home run. The last time anybody did that in a Cub uniform, homer in 5 straight games, was Hack Wilson in 1928.
The only
Ryne
time.
Sandberg has just belted home run number 22.
Ryne Sandberg, one of only 2 Cubs to ever homer in 5 straight ball games, and the fans want a curtain call.
Well, he's been doing this all week long. Grace takes the pitch too low, ball 1. They're calling for Sandberg.
You're looking at the National League Player of the Week. Ryne Sandberg has got to have it hands down.
There it is.
6 home runs in 5 games.
Ryne Sandberg with a tip of the hat. Now the pitch is inside to Grace. Sandberg now with 57 runs batted in. There is ball 3 to Grace. Ryne Sandberg connecting off Larry McWilliams. A strike call to Grace, so the count is 3-1. 1928, Hack Wilson hit home runs in 5 straight games. There's strike 2. Not again until 1989. Sandberg with a home run streak, and Jerome Walton with that hitting streak, sitting side by side in the Cub dugout. Walton's hitting streak at 22. A 6-run 5th. Grace strikes out. A wave and a miss to retire the side, but the Cubs score 6 in the inning. They send 9 men to the plate, pick up 4 hits, and at the end of 5, the Cubs are on top 9-2.
It's been said that the best designed and engineered cars all come from Germany. The fact is, design engineers rate Buick Century and Buick Regal 2 of the top 5 cars they'd buy themselves. Better designed, better engineered. Get the facts. Buick is better.
And now get 2.9% APR financing from GMAC, or depending on the option package you choose, up to $1,500 factory cash back on Century. Up to $1,500 on Regal. But hurry, see your better Buick dealer today.
Cubs now have a big lead as this game moves into the 6th inning. Von Hayes leading off. Greg Maddux missing with the first pitch. Well, the Phillies scored 2 runs in their 5th, and the Cubs came back with 6 in the bottom of the inning. Hayes hits a popper into left center. McClendon settles under this one. 1 gone.
Let's watch that line drive rocket one more time. A fastball low and in, and Sandberg hits it right on the line over the head of John Kruk. And the Chicago Tribune round trip replay shows a home run went 360 feet to left field.
Another $200 to Cubs care in the name of True Value Hardware on the home run by Ryne Sandberg. He has hit 6 home runs in the last 5 games. John Kruk, the hitter. A liner over Ramos. And into left for a base hit. Kruk will stop at first base. A 1-out single.
John Kruk extends his hitting streak to 16 games, so all the hitting streaks continue today. Walton, Sandberg, and now John Kruk joins the parade.
Sandberg started the streak of home runs on the 7th when he homered off Andy McGaffigan. The next day he homered off Dennis Martinez. The following day, the last day of the series with Montreal, he hit one off Bryn Smith. Yesterday he hit 2, one off O'Neill and one off Mulholland. And today he connects off Larry McWilliams. Ricky Jordan, the hitter, taking it low and outside. Just prior to that, closing out that homestand in that short series with the Mets, he'd homered in that series. A big chop toward Dunston. He goes to Sandberg over to first, and they get the double play. It goes 6-4-3. Jordan grounds into an inning-ending double play, and we go into the bottom of the 6th with the Cubs on top, 9-2.
I had my purse snatched on a business trip. I was stranded. No cash, no plane ticket, no credit card, no ID. I called Citibank immediately.
I told her not to worry. With Citibank's Lost Wallet service, I could get her emergency cash, help replace her plane ticket, and get a new Citibank MasterCard to her in 24 hours.
Citibank helped me get home. And after a trip like mine, that's where I wanted to be.
Not just MasterCard, Citibank MasterCard.
Andre Dawson opens the bottom of the 6th, taking the pitch for a ball. With Steve Stone and our producer-director Artie Harris, Dwayne Stats from Wrigley Field, the Cubs have a 9-2 lead. There's ball 2 to Dawson, 2-0. Ryne Sandberg capping a 6-run 5th with his 22nd home run of the year, his 5th against the Phillies. They've come within the last 12 days. Oh, a tremendous shot down the left side, but that's going to be foul. Dawson, who homered in the 3rd inning, jumped all over a 2-0 pitch here in the 6th. Hit it deep but foul.
That was the longest out of any of them, but he got the bat around a little too quickly. Rick Sutcliffe saying that was a long one.
Dawson leading off the Cub inning. Takes this one down and in. Sandberg hit 2 home runs in the first game of the doubleheader against the Phillies on July the 31st, connecting off Terry Mulholland and Greg Harris. Has hit 3 against him in this series. The ball gets away on strike 3, and down to first goes Dawson. So Dawson strikes out and reaches as the ball broke down and in and got away.
Let's watch the inning-ending double play and take a look at Sean Dunston come in aggressively on this ball. He wants to make his own hop and make sure that it doesn't hit the ground before he can get the flip to Sandberg. And for that inning-ending double play, Carex helps put the brakes on cancer with a $50 contribution to Cubs Care.
Here's the strikeout and the wild pitch.
And Andre, realizing that he's going to make it easily, is Steve Lake skidding a little bit. Gives the ball game now for a pinch runner.
Darren Jackson runs for him at first. The wild pitch charged to Larry McWilliams. The Phillies lead the National League by a wide margin in number of wild pitches thrown. Here's Lloyd McClendon taking one on the outside edge for a strike.
The man who leads the world in wild pitches, Ken Howell, is going to go against the Cubs tomorrow, and he's been a red-hot pitcher. So this was a big game for the Cubs, and the offense certainly has come to life once again.
McWilliams misses out there this time, and the count is 1-1. The Phillies have been charged with 64 wild pitches this year. The team nearest to them would be Houston with 38. There's ball 2, 2-1. The Phillies also lead the National League in walks allowed, 450 right now.
And this one isn't going to help their numbers any.
2-1 to count on McClendon. Jackson running at first. A shot back into right field. Hayes back on the track and makes the catch. McClendon hit the ball a long way to the opposite field this time after picking up 2 doubles. He drives this one deep to right and is the first out of the inning. Now 2 for 4 on the day.
To get it out of here today, you want to hit this ball to left field. This is right into the teeth of the wind. It's not a strong wind, but it's strong enough to bat this ball down because McClendon hit it very hard.
Here's Damon Berryhill, 0 for 1 with 2 bases on balls and 2 runs scored. He takes a strike. Talk about hitting a ball hard. Sandberg's line drive home run was really crushed.
You'd think when you see a ball like that it would sink and probably hit the ivy, but it stayed up and continued to rise right over the head of John Kruk and out of the park.
The pitch high. 1-1. Well, the Cubs lost that wild one yesterday. 35 hits, 29 runs. The Phillies coming back to win it 16-13. And the Cubs have bounced right back. Ground ball to short. Thon to Reddy to Jordan. And that takes care of Berryhill and the Cubs here in the 6th. We've gone through 6. Harry will be back in a moment with the Cubs out in front 9-2.
We're going to strut our stuff Chicago style in the hottest event this summer, the Bud Billiken Parade. Saturday morning at 10 on Channel 9.
Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by your Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana Better Buick dealers.
Hello again, everybody, with Steve Stone and Dwayne Statz. This is Harry Carey at Wrigley Field, where the Cubs are out in front 9-2. As we go into the 7th, Hayes swings and misses the first pitch.
Darren Jackson in right field and Terry Mulholland warming up for Philadelphia.
Jackson ran for Andre Dawson. Here's Hayes, 0-2 now. A high fly ball. Jerome Walton going deep. He's back and he makes a catch at the 400-foot mark. Boy, that kid is playing such great baseball. He's run his hitting streak to 22 in a row. He can tie the longest hitting streak in the major leagues tomorrow. And Ryne Sandberg hit a home run for the 5th consecutive day. The last time that was done was back 61 years ago by Hack Wilson. I mean, yeah, Hack Wilson in, what was that, 19-something. Anyway, it was 61 years ago. 1928, I guess. One out, 1 strike on Steve Lake.
1928 it was, Harry.
Now the pitch over the outside corner. Now ready? They're here from Fargo Moorhead. There's a pitch, a drive in the right field. It is foul ball. Darren Jackson gave it a good race, but the ball landed foul. They're here from the Fargo Moorhead area, 750 miles away. Skip, Rob, Eric, Steve, Steph, Ken, and Robes. Rob Kelly sending the message. 2 strikes and nothing on Steve Lake. There's a high fly ball. McLendon there makes the catch. 2 gone. That'll bring up Dickie Thon, who drove in a run in the 5th with a base hit. David Holt, Kelly, and Pat are here from Louisiana.
5th inning was the only rough inning for Maddux when he gave up a couple of runs on 3 hits. Got Randy ready to end that inning and get out of a tough jam.
There's another drive in the center field. It's going to be caught. Jerome Walton is there. Dickie Thon. Line to Walton in center. 1, 2, 3. We go in the bottom of the 7th. The Cubs out in front, 9-2. All right. Let me hear you. Good and loud. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanut and cracker jack. I don't care. Root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame for it. At the old ball game.
For reaching deep, for going long, for digging in when things go wrong, for pushing hard in all you do, that extra yard, for coming through this much for you.
Beechwood aged for the taste so crisp and clean, so refreshing. It's the king of beers.
This much for you.
Here's a pitch, and it's a little bit outside. Domingo Ramos drew the base on balls to fill the bases in the 5th.
36440.
Another crowd of 36,440. The Cubs now have drawn roughly 1 million. There's a drive in the right center field. It's caught beautifully by Von Hayes. But boy, Ramos hit another bullet. But a fine play by Von Hayes, who made the catch.
Von Hayes off with the crack of the bat. He runs this one down. Looked like a 2-base hit when it left the bat. But Ramos, who's hit 3 shots today, along with the base on balls, only has 1 for 3 to show for it.
McWilliams pitching to Dunston. I think the Shawano says it's up to 273. That's right. Boy, this young man has played the greatest shortstop you've ever seen for many years. Figure about the last 2 months when everything seemed to come together for him in the field, on the bases, on relays, pop flies. The pitch. And not to overlook his very, very outstanding hitting. 1 out, nobody on.
There's the attendance figures up to date, closing in on averaging 30,000 people a day.
He started his swing, tried to stop, but he went around. 2 balls and a strike. We're in the bottom of the 7th.
Steve Wilson loosening up in the bullpen.
We televise tomorrow, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, sure. 3:05 start, though. Leadoff man at 2:30. There's a little... Tried to check his swing. The peg by Hayes. Out on a close play.
We're going to talk about the Cubs minor league system tomorrow, and everybody's interested in the Cubs stars of the future. So we'll have Billy Harford up here, who heads up the minor league department, talking about players at all different classifications.
Wilkerson's going to bat for Maddux. Wilkerson.
Hitting .237 this year. 7 for 18 as a pinch hitter, however.
Maddux worked 7 innings. He allowed 2 runs. Only 4 hits. Now the pitch is in there, a strike call. And it looks like Steve Wilson is coming in out of the bullpen. Now the delivery. Yeah, that's the psychology of that is pretty interesting, I think. Maddux is rolling along. He could finish this game, but Steve Wilson had his first bad outing of the year yesterday. He walked 3 out of the first 4 men he faced and left the game. And for the first time was a losing pitcher. And Zimmer's not going to waste any time getting right back in the ball game, so he can develop to make sure he doesn't get in any negative frame of mind, which can happen, you know, in baseball as it does in everything else. Here's the pitch, a little bit of high, ball 3.
He also knows, Harry, that 4 days from now, Greg Maddux is going to be right back out there against Cincinnati. And if you have a chance with a big lead to save some innings, why not?
Here's the pitch, fouled out of play. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Wilkerson hitting .237 with 1 homer. 9 runs batted in. Three and 2 the count. We're in the bottom of the 7th. Ball 4, he walked him.
Jerome Walton is probably dusting off the shelf right now for the Rookie of the Year award. I don't know what more you could do in your first year in the major leagues, and Walton has done this year.
I kind of like what Ryne Sandberg also has done in his 8th year in the league. 22 homers, 57 RBI, 5 straight games with home runs. To think, with all the great hitters who played for the Cubs down through the years, not since 1928 has anybody been able to do that. Hack Wilson being the last man to ever hit home runs on 5 straight days. Here's Jerome Walton. 1 out of 2, hit by a pitch ball, walk, struck out, and singled. Driving in 2. He now has 34 RBI. Two balls and a strike. There's a long, high drive way back near the fence. It's going to be caught to retire the side. At the end of 7, the Cubs lead 9-2.
Being cool, you'll find is a state of mind, a refreshing attitude. Things get hot, cool is all you got. Doing it country cool. Chill on out when the heat comes on with the cool, smooth Mountain Dew. Doing it country cool. Doing it country
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has a right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited.
We go into the 8th. Bobby Dernier is going to pinch hit for the Phillies, and he'll be facing Steve Wilson. Dernier hitting .191 with 1 homer, 12 RBIs, 3 out of 28 as a pinch hitter. Strike called over the outside corner.
Steve Wilson comes in at 5-1, the ERA 3.29, on for the 39th time. He started a couple of games this year, and he's got 2 saves.
Now the delivery. He swings and he misses. Wilson cannot get a save today. The Cubs have a 9-2 lead, and there's only 2 innings that he possibly could pitch. Now the pitch, here it is. 1 ball, 2 strikes. For the Cubs, I hope they keep their hitting clothes on. They scored 13 runs yesterday, although they were beaten. They come back with 9 today. There's a ground ball foul. And tomorrow they're going to face as an effective a pitcher as there is in the National League these days. A young man is coming to his own, Ken Howell, who shut the Cubs out in Philadelphia.
It'll be Mike Bilecki going to the mound for the Cubs. And in the 4th game of the series on Sunday, Rick Sutcliffe takes on Bruce Ruffin. So a right-hander and a left-hander against the Cubs as the Cubs bid to win their 30th game this year against a left-handed starter. They go 30-9.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Foul to the back. For the Cubs in each of their last 23 home games have drawn in excess of 30,000, and in 35 out of their last 36. Likewise. Here's a pitch high, ball 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. We're in the 8th. 9-2 in favor of the Cubs. The 2-2 pitch. Struck him out. Over the outside corner. Dernier called out on strike. 1 gone. He's arguing about it. Here's Lenny Dykstra. Drove in the 2nd run with a sacrifice fly in the 5th. Maddux.
Bobby Dernier flips his batting helmet, and he's being ejected from the game.
He's out of the ball game, but he only pinch hit anyway. He might draw a little bit of a fine, though.
That'll cost him a few bucks, and that's the 2nd Philly ejected today. Darren Dalton left the game earlier, complaining on a pitch from Don Carmen. And Bobby Dernier just waved goodbye to Greg Bonnet.
There's a high pop foul. Watch Dunston run in foul territory. Makes the catch. Let's watch that play again. He covered a world of ground. Watch this now.
Dunston doing everything, and he's motioning to Lloyd McClendon. Stay away, I've got this one. And there's the catch.
He catches it right in front of his own bullpen bench. Now look how far he ran over. He made a little basket catch, too. A la Willie Mays. 2 out. Here's Randy Reddy. A little bit outside. Greg Maddux will be in a 2nd place tie in the National League for the most victories. He's tied with McGrain, Hershiser, and Whitson. If he wins this one, 14 each. Mike Scott. There's a high pop foul out of play. Mike Scott of Houston has 17 wins. Maddux will have a streak of 5 victories in a row after this one. The pitch. A high foul ball out of play. The last game that Maddux lost was July 18th at Los Angeles to Hershiser, who stopped the Cubs with a 4-hitter, 4-1. There's a pitch a little bit high. Maddux has beaten the Giants, the Mets, the Phillies, Montreal, and we're going to repeat against the Phillies today. There's a high fly ball to Jerome Walt at the warning track. He makes the catch. 1, 2, 3. We go to the bottom of the 8th. 9-2 in favor of the Cubs.
Whole grain nutrition is important, but of these leading cereals, only one is made with 100% whole grain. Only Wheaties. Just ask Carl Hershiser. Better get your whole grain.
Better eat your Wheaties.
Harry Carey back at Wrigley Field. Terry Mulholland is the new pitcher, and he'll be facing Ryne. Sandberg now has hit 10 home runs in his last 15 games, including 5 home runs in each of the 5 home runs in the last 5 games. The pitch. There's a strike call.
The Cubs hit Mulholland very hard yesterday when he worked an inning, gave up 5 runs on 6 hits in relief of Randy O'Neal. So he comes into this one 2-5, on for the 18th time. The ERA 4.93.
A high pop foul back out of play.
How about that for a hot streak?
They're starting a Rhino-meter. 22 home runs now. I'm counting. He struck him out. Rhino will finish the day on base 3 times. 1 out of 3. A 2-run homer. 3 runs batted in. And the distinction of having done something that no other Cub player. Just think of the many great stars who played in Chicago. The last man, the only man to do it, Hack Wilson, back in 1928, hit homers in 5 straight games. And that now is what Sandberg has done. Schiraldi limbering up in the bullpen. 1 out. Grace is 0 for 4 today. Andre Dawson walloped a homer, 2. There's a pitch over the outside corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Big game tomorrow starting at 3:05. Leadoff man at 2:30. 3 balls, 2 strikes. And they are going to pitch Ken Howell. And the Cubs will pitch their fine right-hander, Mike Bilecki. There's a drive foul into the left field corner. 3-2. (29-9) against left-handers for the Cubs. Be 30-9 after today. (3-2). Struck him out. Grace is caught out on strikes. He's 0 for 5 today. Well, that's all right. They didn't need him today.
Darren Jackson hitting for the first time, hitting .243 with a home run and 7 RBIs. He came in to pinch run for Andre Dawson.
Boy, that's a remarkable record. Here's the pitch swung by Darren Jackson. He had a good cut, fouled it back. Andre Dawson had one out of 4 while he was in there. A home run to start the 3rd inning. A little tap in front of the plate. Lake has the throw low, but Ricky Jordan comes up with it. 1-2-3. At the end of 8, the Cubs out in front, 9-2.
The 1989 official Chicago Cubs gift catalog is now available to all fans, with more than 200 unique Cub items featured in this year's catalog, including Cub caps, jackets, and the official players' jerseys. There's also plenty of Chicago Bears, Bulls, and Hawks merchandise. To receive your free catalog, call 1-800-358-1000, extension 282. The Cubs 1989 gift catalog. Call now.
Later tonight on Channel 9, it's a plot by oil companies to suppress information about synthetic fuel. George C. Scott and Marlon Brando star in The Formula tonight at 11:30 on Chicago's very own Channel 9.
There's Von Hayes to lead it off. We're in the top of the 9th. The Cubs will have evened up this series after yesterday's tough loss. They bounce right back, giving 9 more runs. 13 runs yesterday, 9 runs today.
Calvin ended the ball game yesterday with 2 scoreless innings, hoping to continue that trend today.
First pitch a little bit inside, ball 1. Well, I don't know. It seems to me that if that 4th pitcher is still open on the rotation, I wouldn't mind seeing Schiraldi get a crack at it. That might be what he's best suited for. 2 balls, no strikes. There's a drive, though. There's a base hit. Hard in the right field. Darren Jackson with the ball. It's a double for Von Hayes.
19th double of the year for Von Hayes.
I don't think maybe anybody wants to be the 4th starter.
It's a tough situation. Don Zimmer has some candidates for that spot, but nobody wants to jump up and take control of it. He knows the big 3 of Sutcliffe, Maddux, and Bilecki. It's a question of who you're going to run out there on the 4th day. Pico had a very tough outing yesterday. Kilgus came on, didn't look much better. And that's probably your considerations. He wants to leave Wilson in the bullpen, so it's between Schiraldi, Kilgus, and Pico.
Now the pitch. Kruk takes it inside. You see, this is what Don Zimmer was talking about this spring. And last year, too. Remember how many times he said, if a pitcher comes in out of the bullpen and shows me something, it doesn't mean he's going to be in the bullpen forever. Now just think of the opportunity pitchers are having to be that 4th starter here right now. Any guy who has a good game will be almost automatically become the 4th starter. Ball 3 by Schiraldi. Three balls, no strikes. The runner at second. Nobody out. Johnny Kruk takes ball 4. Runners are on first and second. Nobody out. And here is Ricky Jordan. Let's look in the dugout a minute, in the Cub dugout, Arnie. Where's Zimmer? He's looking over his cards. Runners on at first and second. Ricky Jordan hitting a double play his last time up. Takes a strike call. Line drive, double play. Right at Sandberg, who tossed to Sean Dodson for the double play. Very quickly and beautifully done by Sandberg and Dunston.
Some bad base running by Von Hayes. The fastball right down the middle. Fortunately for the Cubs, it's pounded right at Sandberg. He knows exactly what to do with it. And what could have been a very difficult situation now looks very easy for the Cubs.
The crowd is on its feet. There's the pitch to Charlie Hayes. Strike call. Hayes 1 out of 3. The Cubs will be 18 games. There's the pitch swung and missed. The Cubs will be 18 games above the 500 mark. 0-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out. Everybody on their feet. The outcome of this game is a foregone conclusion. Put it down as a Cub victory. Their lead over Montreal would be 3 games pending Montreal's game. There's a line drive to left. A runner racing to third. Kruk went from first to third on Hayes' second hit. A line single to left.
Phillies looks like they've gotten themselves a good one in Charlie Hayes, who's just starting to come around as a major leaguer, getting an opportunity to play in the big leagues with Philadelphia, something he didn't have a lot of with San Francisco. He was one of the 3 players acquired in the Bedrosian deal, and he looks better and better the more you see him.
There's Steve Lake. Fouls him back. Strike 1. Better than 36,000 here. The Cubs at the 1,680,000 mark. The sisters are in the habit. A high pop fly. Grace is there. The Cubs win. Cubs win. And the Cubs are 18 games above the 500 mark. They're full 3 games ahead of Montreal, 4 ahead of New York, and 6 ahead of St. Louis. A good day's work indeed, and that young man certainly had another great afternoon. Ryne Sandberg. The heroes are many today, and we'll have the totals for you in a moment.
Another mini moment of great film teams.
Watson, wake up.
Oh, I thought you were watching at the movies.
I told you to record it.
Well, I was going to, Helms, but I sat on the VCR.
Have you seen At the Movies?
Yes, I have.
It's good.
I think you and I make a wonderful team.
Hey, what about me?
Watch At the Movies.
We'll take a look at the new film from the makers of The Terminator and Aliens. It's an underwater adventure called The Abyss.
Sunday at noon on Channel 9.
The Budweiser play of the game. There are a lot of things we could talk about today, but first, here's Jerome Walton hitting in his 22nd consecutive game. And then how could you overlook Ryne Sandberg? Walton drove in 2 runs. Now here's Sandberg also driving in 2 runs with his bullet of the line drive. The 5th straight game that he has hit a home run in. And breaking the first time it's been done since Hack Wilson did it in 1928, 61 years ago. Those are the Budweiser play of the game. Now, Steve, we could talk about Andre Dawson getting back in the home run stroke with his blow. You could talk about Domingo Ramos driving in a big run. You could talk about Sean Dunstan's 2-run single. But you got to come back to Jerome Walton and Ryne Sandberg, because I think what they did is so unusual.
Cub offense once again tuned up here, but it all starts at the mound, and Greg Maddux, winning his 14th game, gave the Cubs what they needed, a big performance, and he's done what he's done the last 18 starts, and that's go at least 7 innings. And anytime you do that, it takes the pressure off middle relief. And Don Zimmer had a tired bullpen after using 6 pitchers yesterday, so Maddux came up with a big effort.
You know, there are a lot of unbelievable statistics. To me, the one I have to check and make sure that I'm saying it right is that the Cubs have won 30 and lost only 9 against a left-handed starter. That's unbelievable.
A lot of the reason why they're that dominant against left-handed starters is the fact that Damon Berryhill, when he turns around to hit right-handed, is hitting .340. Lloyd McClendon is hitting about .390 against left-handed starters. So when you put those two guys into the lineup and add Sandberg and Dunston and Walton into the equation against the left-handers, you can see, Harry, why they dominate left-hand pitching.
I tell you, you got to don't forget Lloyd McClendon. He's only contributed a couple of doubles. But this is the way it is when the team is winning, when they're going well. And, of course, the Cubs are really playing magnificent baseball. It isn't one man. It's a collection of players. And we talked about this many times so far this year.
One of the things that the Cubs turned around this year was early in the season they were a poor defensive ball club. If you remember us talking to you in April and the early parts of May, we told you that the defense was among the bottom in the league. But the defense has turned everything around. Sean Dunston is playing shortstop like maybe nobody played it for a period of 2-3 months. They're getting great play out of Sandberg, but you expect that. The outfield, anchored by Jerome Walton in center field, is catching everything in sight. And Damon Berryhill, Harry, has thrown out 46% of the men who've tried to steal against him, and that's way above the league average. Defense and pitching, it all comes back to that, and the Cubs have it in abundance.
And I tell you something, when you talk about defense, don't forget that guy in right field. I think he's as good an outfielder as I've ever seen defensively playing right field. Whether he's hitting or not really doesn't make any difference. He makes plays out there that help this team win ball games that otherwise they would lose. And you know he's going to hit. He hit again today. And any time now he's going to go on a streak. And he's good enough when that happens to carry a ball club all by himself. Not that that's necessary, because he's having a lot of help up and down the batting order.
A couple of years ago, when he hit 49 home runs with 137 RBIs, he'd come into the dugout after hitting a home run, and it was ho-hum, just another day. When Arnie Harris showed him after he hit his 12th home run of the year this year, he had the biggest smile on his face that I've seen in a long time. And Harry, I think it took a lot of pressure off him, the fact that he knows better than anybody else that he's been struggling. And maybe this is the time for him to start getting hot. And if he does, this ball club could just sweep itself on the shoulders of Andre Dawson to the Eastern Crown.
Well, before I wish you goodbye, and I'll see you tomorrow, I just want to try this on you one more time. You know, Andre Dawson's lovely wife is expecting any day now. And I think of it as a boy, wouldn't it be a prophetic thing to name him Homer Dawson?
Homer Formby sounds pretty good. I don't know about Homer Dawson, but it's a decent name.
All right, see you later. There's a big grin on Andre Dawson's face. All right, I'll be back with the totals now in a moment.
When Li Chin takes care of the Chinese National Airlines' new Boeing 757s, he uses Craftsman tools, because Craftsman are tough precision tools, and the hand tools are guaranteed forever. So a lot of people buy them because they know they can always return them, and some buy them because they know they can't. Great low prices every day. Craftsman quality. That's your money's worth, and a whole lot more.
A big win for Greg Maddux, his 14th of the year, and boy, he has joined a lot of big names. He's won as many as Joe McGrane, Orel Hershiser, Whitson. Mike Scott is 3 victories ahead, but he can be reached too. A fine ball game. He only gave 2 hits allowed 4 hits rather than allowed 2 runs in winning his 14th game of the year. Here are the totals for the Chicago Cubs: 9 runs, 7 hits, no errors. The winner, Greg Maddux, he now has won 14 and lost 8. For the Phillies, 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 error. The loser, Don Carmen, he now has won 3 and lost 12. So this series is all evened up. 1 for Philadelphia, 1 for the Cubs. Tomorrow we'll see you. It's a 3 o'clock ball game tomorrow. Dugout show at 2:30. So with Steve Stone and Dwayne Statz, this is Harry Carey from Wrigley Field, where the Chicago Cubs walloped the Philadelphia Phillies 9-2 to increase their first place lead over Montreal to 3 full games, pending the outcome of Montreal's game against Pittsburgh later on tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. See you tomorrow.